Hello scrappers, how are you today? I've got something very special today. Today we're going to be scrapping a baby sewing machine. That's right, we're going to be scrapping a baby sewing machine today. Isn't this cute? Unfortunately it does not work. This is an interesting unit because it is both electrically operated AC power as well as battery powered. I've kind of pre-jiggered the screws here so it's a little bit easier to undo. And my camera person today is Abby. Everybody say hello to Abby. Okay, there we go. Alright, we're just going to finish unscrewing this. I'll probably edit some of this out. And some of it, the screws are already out. That's interesting. Ready to come apart yet? Now the vast majority of this thing is plastic, but obviously it has to have some metal parts in it, including it may have, well, it won't have a transformer. This is the transformer, so that's going to be the main source of copper, is that one. We're going to take a look at the transformer. There may not be much to it. We'll see what we can get out of it. I do intend to try to harvest the copper out of it if I can, plus of course we will get a little bit in insulated wire from the cables, including the foot pedal. Okay, how about that? I have to take this part off. Okay, here we go. Here's what's holding up the lunch line. Little foamy pieces at the bottom. Alright. I don't know about other scrappers, but my fingernails start to really disappear the more I do scrapping because I end up trying to dig things out with them and such. Okay, see if we can get it apart now. Almost frustratingly close. There we go. Now, let's take a look to see what we got on the inside here. You know, we've got a couple of parts here. We're going to see what material that is. See if that's just scrap steel, or maybe if we're really lucky it's brass. You can see all the little screws that we have here. I'm going to pause the video, and I'm going to start taking out some screws. Can you pause it? Hello, we're back. I am scrapping a baby sewing machine. Anyway, here we are. I hope I can get the video successfully spliced because there was an incident with the first half of the video, the first part of the video, and we're just trying to scrap this baby sewing machine. So if you missed this big action shot of me getting the case off, we're going to try to figure out if any of these materials are other than just steel. So I'm going to go hog wild with a magnet here in a little bit. But for right now, I'm just going hog wild with this drill to get rid of all the screws. I see something's definitely aluminum, cast aluminum I would say. Where this screw is in is I think going to be cast aluminum. I keep all the fasteners and I've been putting them in a large jar. And I don't know exactly what I'm going to do with it. I tried selling it once, but I did not have any takers, so I don't know. Maybe somebody will buy screws by the pound from me. And that's a good question for you scrappers out there. What do you do with all your surplus screws? Do you just throw them in with your thread, or do you guys do something else with them? Okay, that one's not cooperating, so we'll leave it alone for now. Have a little piece here. All right, mostly this is plastic. Just in this particular unit, I mean, this is obviously a very low-cost unit. It's made for small jobs, obviously. It does not work anymore for whatever reason, and I'm not the guy to repair it, I can tell you that. I take things apart, I don't put them back together. So there's the next question for you guys. Do you find that as a scrapper, people assume that you know how to put things back together just because you know how to take them apart? For myself, I do not know how to put them back together, not generally speaking. And so I find that I end up telling people, sorry, I really can't fix your whatever. I'm just good at breaking it. So, anyway, see if I can get, there seems to be a metal piece here, and I kind of want to get at that piece. And we'll find out whether that little piece might be brass. This one here is probably, well, that one could be brass too, actually, just looking at it. And that just might be lubricant that I'm looking at. It's not a shininess necessarily. And we have lots of action around here with flying pieces. I'm sure you experience the same if you're a scrapper. If you got sucked in by the clickbait of scrapping a baby sewing machine, then thank you for coming here, and sorry if my headline was horrifying, but yes, it was definitely clickbait, and I sort of apologize kind of for that, kind of sort of. Okay, I am jumping around a little bit here with these pieces, but what we're going to do here, I'm going to take these off. I'm not going to spend too much time on this one piece because it is primarily plastic. There's a little bit of metal to get there, but that's scrap, and it's our shred, and it's not really worth anything. So I'm not going to, I might try a little bit, but I'm not going to try too hard to retrieve anything from it. Am I even going to try? Let's try one little piece and we'll see. There's a chance some of this is brass, but I'm thinking it's just magnetic. We're going to find that out in a minute. We're going to test a whole bunch of things out to see if they're magnetic or not. Okay. There we go. Now we have this piece of plastic left. So that's garbage. Okay, that's garbage. All right, we'll use this. We're just going to get rid of some of these plastic pieces. Another question for you, if you want to answer. Recycling. Can you recycle your plastic where you live? What do you have to do with it? Does it go into the garbage? Now, I know that if you are like me and you're in Canada or certain states, there may be a better possibility that you're able to recycle your plastic than others. Here, I think we can recycle it, or at least that's what I can tell from the website for our city. All right, now this guy here, something's holding it down. There we go. Let's see where it is. Okay. Now I had done a full-scale sewing machine once before, and that took me 2 nights to do. I did not film a video on it, but I actually I was very near and early in my scrapping career a few months ago, and I actually ended up with tendonitis from it. But I have to say, the sheer enjoyment of that was worth it. It was lots of fun. If you ever want to completely take a sewing machine apart, a real sewing machine, not a baby one like this one, you will find that, and it's it's one thing if you just scrap it, because if you just scrap it, the vast majority of it is steel, and you can get it to a certain point where you just basically cut a few things out and away you go. You could do it in 45 minutes. Or you could do it like me and not just scrap it, but take the entire thing apart. And that took me 2 days. But I literally took it right down to the basic elements. And if for no other reason than it was for practice or for fun, I'm not sure, probably both. Okay, just going to rip this off a little bit. Of course, one of the great joys of doing any type of scrapping is that you're not really worried about breaking stuff. That's kind of the point, in a way. I should get my glasses on for doing this if I'm going to do that. So on go the glasses. Okay, I'm going to try and clean this stuff up. If it's too much, I'll just move on. We've got shrapnel flying everywhere right now. It's glorious. I wonder how I can do that. How would you do this? How would you get this part off? There we go. Got a nice chunk of plastic to throw away. Take the granny glasses off for a second. Now this is about to come off, I think. I say, but it doesn't realize that it's supposed to come off. I'll be editing some of this out, so if this all looks a little bit jumpy, that's why. Because I don't want you to have to see me wrestle with every little piece, although I suppose that's part of the fun, is watching somebody else prove that the struggle is real. Alright. And although many of you would have given up on this by now, and I don't blame you, I try, even with my shred, to make it as pure as possible, and there's probably no good reason for doing that. From an economic point of view, it's not worth the time. If it's a hobby, well, then you might say, justify it by saying that that's part of the challenge and part of what you like about it. I haven't determined yet where I sit in on it, but I will probably at some point give up on trying to get this out if I'm unable to get it out. My goodness. It's like hanging on by nothing. It's I don't know how it's hanging on. It's hanging on by nothing. So I got another trick up my sleeve. Reach into my... here we go. Okay, kids, don't try this at home, eh? Just use glasses and use gloves. Okay. Better yet, kids, don't do this. All right, there, that's clean off finally, after we cut out about 2 minutes of tape. All right, what else do we got in here? Well, let's get a pair of snippers out and start snipping some wires. I'm gonna use my little baby snipper since this is we're scrapping a baby sewing machine. And you can see we've got a little motor here. And I am not going to try to take that motor apart. I'm going to get it off of this, but I'm not going to take the motor apart. Pause it, please. Hit the pause. Hello, scrappers. Yeah, welcome to part 3 of a one-part video. I'm sorry for all the splicing. I'm working on scrapping a baby sewing machine, and so we're going to continue to work on that. Okay, so here we go. Okay, here. Okay, so we've got the little motor. Might keep the little motor. I don't know what I'm going to do with it. I have a few of these like this. We'll figure out some sort of use for them. Alright, now I'm going to... One of the things I'm going to do is I'm going to figure out right now what's magnetic and what's not. So let's figure this out. Okay, so we know all this is magnetic, so that's fine. Again, I keep the fasteners separately. So these little fasteners will all go here. Put the steel over there. Just kind of hoping these little gears are brass, but alas, they're not. So that's unfortunate, but whatever. Okay, and then we're going to take a look. I got one piece out that's brass by the looks of it.
Like there's some browning on it.
Can you press the pause button? See where it says the pause? Yeah. Okay, sorry about that. Anyway, it looks like maybe we've got a few little pieces here. This one is magnetic, and that's not actually magnetic. That's interesting. I don't know if that's because it's stainless. Well, let's see what this is. So we use the old file test. See, I'm going to guess this is brass. And sure enough, you can't really pick it up, but that's golden brass. So this is brass. So there we go. That's the good stuff. We want the brass. I want to get that little piece of metal off, though. That's just shred, I'm pretty sure. So that's shred, that's fasteners, and this is brass. Okay. I try to clean things up as much as I can. Okay, now this thing here, unfortunately these gears, as cool as they are, because it is probably the coolest part of the thing, that is just steel, so we're going to put that over there. We've got this little piece here, that's steel, so away it goes. Now, this is just generally insulated wire, but I want to check these other ends to see if those other little pieces on it happen to be brass as well, which they might be. And it's like, you know, between a file and a magnet, you can tell what most things are. Some things maybe not, but in most instances you can tell from them. Even stainless, if you do know how to do the file test right, you can tell from a file test, but if you're not sure if something's stainless, the other thing to do is to take a grinder to it and see if it sparks. And that's very goldeny. I'll double check that with this one. That's very goldeny. So these two are definitely brass, but there's plastic on them. So I'm going to take that plastic off later so that we can keep working on what we've got in front of us here. So I'm going to take off some more screws. And then I see some other screws, so we might as well just get them while we're here. Okay, so we've got some plastic pieces. This, I'm almost certain, is like zinc aluminum combined. This little piece right here. Where's my magnet? Yep, that is either cast aluminum or zinc or a combined alloy. So I'll put those there. We'll put these here. After a while, you do start to be able to tell from looking at the metal, and then sometimes you can't tell, and it's always good to check. But there are some times where you look at it and you go, I know exactly what that is after you've done this for a while. And I haven't done it for very long, but even still, I'm starting to know what's what just from looking at it. So This one might be a little bit difficult to get out. I might have to use a hammer on this. Let's try that. Yeah. Okay. Oh, that might be straight enough. Pull up. There. Nope. There's some other reason why it doesn't love me, and I'm not sure what it is. Oh. Okay. Alright. Okay, let's leave that part alone for a second. Go to this one here. I see another screw that needs to come off. Let's take that. Now, if you've done a regular sewing machine, you know that this little baby that we're scrapping, sewing machine, is about 1/10 as complicated, if it's even that. It is very simplified, comparatively speaking. But even at that, it's not that simple. It is still a bit of a puzzle as to how you take it apart. And a lot of it isn't so much about getting the metal out as it is isolating all the plastic, or at least that's the way I look at it. This looks like steel, but once again, just to be sure, let's test it with the magnet. Sure enough, so it goes with the scrap steel. And that. I mean, shred steel, you still get, you still get something for it. It's not like you don't get anything for it. Okay, you get 9 cents a pound where I am in Canada. Some places get a little more, some places a little less. It depends on where you are. And of course, it depends on markets. Alright, I think I'm going to have to find some way to bust this. So I might just use my chisel and a hammer, put some glasses on. We'll see if I can do it that way, because that plastic is in a bad spot. Alright, that was successful. Now I have to do the same operation over here. Glasses on. Chisel. And as much of a shame as it might be, it's always good to have a sacrificial wood chisel for these things. Just give this a little love tap. And we'll just break this out. There we go, there's more plastic. Like I say, a lot of this is more like liberating the plastic than actually anything else. And as much as this thing is far less complicated than the last sewing machine, one of the things that made the last sewing machine so complicated was that it had this aluminum, cast aluminum body, and I kept it intact during the whole thing. And in order to keep that aluminum intact for the whole thing meant I really had to work around a lot of stuff. Here at least I was able to open it up and get access to basically everything, which is much easier. Pause it for a second. Hello and welcome back. I know we cut out a few things there. Basically what I did was I got these things off, and I used a combination of approaches of getting the ends off of them. And in this one particular case, I did nip off a bit of this, a nice piece of cast aluminum. And so I've got, it in 2 pieces. But basically we managed to get all that off. And so rather than you watching all my trials and tribulations there, I decided to just do that stuff off camera. All right, now a little spring. Whoop. So we do have a growing pile of steel, but we also have some aluminum and a little bit of brass. So that's, you know, kind of the brass and the aluminum are the prize, as well as the copper. But in this case, the copper is going to only come from the power cord, basically. Okay. Now, look at this, is hooked into the button in the front. So I'm thinking all I have to do here is, there we go, take that out. And like I say, a lot of this I look at is just extracting all the plastic and leaving everything else. So I have a spring here in the way. Throw that with the metal shred. And there's a little piece here that I suspect that this piece is, yeah, that's not non-magnetic. So I'm going to see if I can get that off. And I may have to break it to do that. Or I may have to give up on it. And, you know, this is only about a penny of... There we go. So we're going to cut our losses, take that, and be happy with it. Be happy with the aluminum we did get. And this is going to end up as shred. And I'm not going to do this on camera. I might clean this up if I have a chance to do it. We'll see. It's not critical that I do that, but I do try to do it when I can. If it's too much work, I won't do it. Alright, I'm going to try the screw again. I had some trouble with this last time. That's not working, so let's see. I will try another approach. And it's funny how sometimes screws react better to either a drill or a hand screw. So it just depends. Okay. And okay. So finally found the one it's responsive to, so that's good. Alright. Just about have the foot out. And even in one of these simplified machines, it does have, you know, some of the same basic structures. It has to have some of them, right? Okay, so we got the screw out. We got the foot. Pretty sure that was going to be steel, and it is. And that's the spring. That's going over there. This mechanism, we're going to take a look at that. I see there's another screw here. Let me try this one on it. The nice thing about scrapping is you don't have to worry about breaking stuff, not usually. And that's definitely one of the things that I enjoy about scrapping. Hi, apparently we had a little audio-visual difficulty there. I'm just working on where where the foot of this whole thing is, and I'm seeing that this particular piece of the mechanism, I think, is brass. Okay, let's see here if that's the case, because it didn't seem to be metallic, and sure enough, that's brass. So let's put that with our brass. Now, what about this part? That's... I'm thinking that's nickel-plated brass. And it's not. This piece is plastic. Away it goes. And that's why it's good to test, because sometimes you think you know and then you find out you don't. Once again, if I'm able to take something off easily, I will. If it gets too ridiculous and it's still good enough for shred, then I'll just leave it for shred. But here I'm able to extract it sure that's, yeah, that's definitely that. Now, every time I do this, I gotta say thank you to Uncle Scrap for telling me to try to work this thing from the table. And it does save your wrists a little bit. And it's actually better leverage. It doesn't work for everything and all the time, but anytime that it helps. Anytime you can do it, it helps, is what I'm trying to say. Okay, that's plastic. I got a piece here. I'm not even sure what that is. That looks like brass. And this one here is not. And this one here is a fastener. Fascinating. Fascinating fasteners. Okay, now what do we got here? What do we have left? Basically nothing here. There is on the top one little piece. If I can get that off easily, I'll do it. If not, I won't. Okay, this little piece here, that looks like a piece of brass. It's about the brassiest piece of brass you're ever going to see. Yeah, it's brass. Okay, no surprise there. So we'll put it with the brass. These are not brass. So the way those go, that's just going to be shred. Yeah, I could take that thing off if I really wanted to. Now, what else do I have on this? I have one little pin there. A couple little pieces here. I think we're close enough. Now, what we have left, we have the cord, which of course I will cut this. In this case, I can cut it right here. Okay, I'm going to cut this right here. There is a little bit of piece of typically brass to get out of this other thing, so we're going to work on that. That's not easy to do. I will give up on it easily if it's not working out. We have this one. And we have this little foot pedal. And I'm going to double check, but I don't think there could be a switch in there, but even that I'm not expecting too much. Mostly what we've got is a switch. Not a Nintendo Switch. Nice try. Wah wah. A little bit of wire. That wire is not going to be good enough for using a stripper on, a wire stripper. So that's just going to go in as insulated wire, which at my scrapyard goes for about 80 cents a pound. This thing could theoretically have, it doesn't. I was going to say theoretically it could have a copper contact, but if there is one, I don't see it. And if there is one, it's not very big. Alright, well, we're just going to throw that. Actually, that might be brass. That is brass. We'll throw that in the brass. You know why it's not really worth. There are some states that it's not worth doing scrapping, like Nebraska, because they don't have any brass. Never mind, it's not really a very good joke. But anyway, we're going to pull all that plastic, so that's all gone away. Now I've got these two little pieces. I will... That's not quite how I want to do that, but that'll work. And same thing here. Again, I'm trying to get away the pieces that are not So these ends are also likely brass. They're not magnetic, so they're likely brass. I'll likely cut this part out because it's kind of boring. Okay, now I've got an option here. I can either keep this as dirty brass, which is probably what I'm going to do, or I can try to take this out. And it is possible to get that last little bit of plastic out, but for now I'm going to call it dirty brass. Okay, so camera up here. That's how you scrap a baby sewing machine. And I want to thank Abby as helping with this video, and I want to thank Aaron for helping to splice it all together all nice and neatly. And I'm going to tell each other, treat each other well, and God bless you, and Scrap and Lou over and out.